wonderful to be here. It's beautiful to have you join us today. This is Daystar. We call it the home of stars and mega stars. And of course, today is a Wednesday service. It is service unusual. And it's going to be a fantastic time. We have 4 professionals who are going to be taking us through their journeys and, of course, answering various questions from wherever you're dropping it. We welcome you. My name is Tayo Adetunji, and I'm so glad to be here today to make this happen. First, I'd like to say thank you to our senior pastors and also the associate pastors for this great opportunity to make sure that, we can connect to the rest of the world. And it's not just from the pulpit down to the members. And today, you have the opportunity to join us and also to be a part of this. You can send your messages. You can send it to all our various social media platforms. You can start now so that, when it's time to have your questions will be part of them. You can also remain anonymous. So while sending a message, in front of it, just put anonymous in all our social media platforms. So just go there right now and join us in this fantastic experience that we're going to be having today. So like I said I have 4 wonderful people who are going to be part of this journey. And from my left, her name is Dr. Ijarogbe Temitayo Grace. You're welcome on the show. All right, so I'll just quickly go through her profile so that she can also tell us exactly what she does, and so we can start sending her messages. And you'll be so interested in her profile. It is heavy, and I'm going to just take the little I can take from here. Dr. Ijarogbe Temitayo Grace is a medical doctor and a surgeon. She's a member of the West African College of Physicians, holds a master's in child and adolescent mental health. She has an advanced diploma in human resource management, and she's certified in the cycles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the Universal Treatment Curriculum, UTC, for substance use disorder, SUD, by the Colombo Plan Drug Advisory Program run by the United States Department of Securities. Various certifications, I cannot go through them. She specialized in FIRST, so she's the first female consultant psychiatry to the Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Oda Road in Ondo State, Akure. Immediate past chairman, Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba Branch. Examiner with the Faculty of Psychiatry at the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria, coordinator of the annual CAMH workshop, and program developer of the center's training at the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services Center of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Yaba. I can go on and on and on, but let me just say this. Currently, a chief consultant, psychiatrist, special grade 1, and acting head of child and adolescent mental health service center at the Oshodi Annex of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. Ladies and gentlemen, you can as well use a virtual clap, but with my other host here, let's just appreciate this wonderful woman who is joining us and will be taking us through her story today. Madam, it's over to you, doctor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone watching us from all over the world. My name is Grace. I like my children, the people I take care of at the center, to just call me Dr. Grace. And I have a background in mental health, in which many people either they do not believe or they do not know about it. But mental health, let me just break it down. So we have mental health, we have mental wellness, and we have mental illness. Mental health in itself is divided into cognition, that is capacity for thinking, abstractive information, calculation, executive functioning, all those things that executives can do. And then we have the aspect that is for socializing, knowing what to say at the appropriate time, when to do things, keeping to time and all that. And then we have the behavioral aspect, in which you know where to go, when to go, who to meet, and all those. People who are mentally well know how to appropriately apply all the aspects of mental wellness. But people who are mentally ill, or when people have mental illness, then they have lost that capacity for integrative functioning. So if they've lost mental wellness in terms of cognition, then their capacity for thinking may decline. And so we have people who have Alzheimer's, and they cannot handle complex tasks anymore, even though they are well behaved and they are socially adept. Then we have people who have lost social, recourse, and then of course there are people who behaviorally are imbalanced. So all those people have mental illness.
So it's very interesting what you're talking about now, because we now realize that people are really looking into mental wellness. I have a lot of questions for you, madam. So just take your time, take a breath. So I cross over to the other person. I have a wonderful lady here, a great person who has had also wonderful years and years of experience. I'll read her profile. Her name is Yonda Agbeniga, right? Sorry, Agbeniga. I got it right now. Yeah, thank you. So I'll read her profile right now. Yonda Agbeniga is the CEO and principal consultant of Medi Ideas Lifestyle and Wellness Center. She comes with a wealth of experience and knowledge and hands-on experience in integrative health and wellness. As a graduate of biochemistry and a certified nutritionist from Shaw Academy, United Kingdom, our organization runs a full-fledged bioenergy therapy spa and a lifestyle and wellness center with focus on electrotherapy, infrared sauna, bioenergy therapies, comprehensive wellness checks, nutrition, and other wellness services using science-supported therapies and technologies for preventing lifestyle diseases and other health conditions. Our organization, Medi Ideas, also runs a series of educative and informative training programs for religious and corporate organizations. I cannot read everything, but listen to this last part. She and her organization share the grand vision of creating a healthier world by strengthening the health of people, organizations, and nations through innovative and technology-driven wellness services, assessment, nutritional support, and appropriate use of education, information, and training programs to prevent complications and aid disease reversal. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying that this woman is a wonderful woman who's got a lot in her bank. Let's welcome Mrs. Yonda Agbeniga.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's evening in Nigeria, so good evening or whatever time it is in your time zone. So my name is Yonda Agbeniga. I run a lifestyle and wellness center, and I always tell people where sci-fi come to life. You know what sci-fi means? Science fiction come to life. So we're first of its kind. We run magnetic frequency healing. We use electrotherapy, far infrared. That is the red part of the electromagnetic spectrum to try and heal. In summary, it looks a bit complicated, but in summary, what we do is we're a major on preventive health. We want to help you know where you are on the health curve, and then we want to show you proper solutions for you so that you prevent the onset of all these conditions. And then if the condition is ongoing, we want to show you how you can come out of it and try and reverse your condition. Now, I discussed with a few of my colleagues before we came online. I said it will be easier to understand what I do when we break down why we fall sick. Okay, so there are basically 3 reasons why people fall sick. Number 1 is if there is a disease, and if there is a toxic overload, or if there is a nutritional deficiency. Okay, so at our center, what we do is we try to do a 5-year prognosis of possible complications. We want to know what are you currently brewing on your sub-health level. Okay, so we do that electromagnetic scan. We want to see what you're brewing within a year. We take a spot analysis. This is where you are now. Okay, so what is going to happen in 1 year? And then we do a 5-year prognosis. So nothing takes you by surprise. That's essentially what we do. And then we also put you on the light spectrum. Far infrared is approved by FDA for and electromagnetic frequencies is FDA approved for bone healing, wound healing and all that. So you come in, we put you under far infrared, you drop your blood sugar, you drop your blood pressure, and you just kick in nitric oxide, stress relief and all that. And you're just in and kicking. And then conclusively, it is important that your deficiencies, your toxicities are removed through all these processes. So we let you know where you are on the health curve currently, and then we tell you this is where you're going to be in 5 years. And so you have the chance to not switch on those genes. You have the opportunity to shut them down. So nothing takes you by surprise. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for that wonderful introduction of yourself. Very soon we'll come back to you to learn a few things. I know you will be dealing with a lot of gadgets, all the whatnot. Yes, I go to this wonderful woman over there. I'm sure you can see, if you can, a camera guys can see some of these things on, so many weights, bicycle is here, and there's so many props around here. The person I'm going to introduce next, deals with some of these things, and her name is Eziha Bolaji Olojo. For short, Kochi. So, to be safe, I will just call you Kochi. Okay, Kochi is a Jesus Girl is fitness and a wholeness coach with a mission to bring healthy back, #healthy back into every home. One woman, one believer at a time. Via our various online platforms, she provides knowledge on food, fitness, family, and faith that provide convictions deeper in her readers, ultimately leading to the compliance and action required to help women live whole, healthy, and joyful lives. Okay, so this is a very important part. Eziha is a UK certified health and fitness professional with a specialization in weight loss and a US certified parental and postnatal fitness coach. She's also a first-class graduate of sociology from the University of Ibadan. She brings all that knowledge to bear in coaching via various squads on WhatsApp and other corporate religious wellness programs. On International Women's Day 2019, she was named as one of the 100 most inspiring women in Nigeria by Leading Ladies Africa. She also regularly mentors and inspires stay-at-home moms, who she intentionally refers to as God's domestic queens through programs and our academy. Ladies and gentlemen, goes without saying that this woman is wonderful and is loaded with so much. Take us through your journey, Bolaji.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And I want to say thank you to our pastor, Pastor Sam. It's important that we have these conversations from the pulpit, talking about health, what to eat, and everything. It's really important. I would say that January is very important in church. I love January, but I think my most favorite month would be September, because every September, or at least as long as I've been here, we've discussed health in church. So I want to say thank you to Pastor Sam, Pastor Nike, and all the amazing pastors for doing this and then for giving us the opportunity to be here. It's such a joy, such an honor. Thank you. So basically, I do a lot about food, fitness, wholeness in general. So I'm the person that's going to be telling you what to eat, what not to eat, how to work out, and basically how to make sure that your body stays strong enough to do everything that God has put you on earth for. Now, there's so much to say, so I can't even go into so much, but I want to say something, because every time we start to hear about fitness and food, we just think, oh, they'll soon tell me to stop eating this and stop eating that. So sometimes we just sort of close our minds. Now, I want to beg you that you approach this session, not just from me, but from everybody, with the mindset of an archaeologist. An archaeologist is constantly digging, constantly searching, constantly researching. So I don't want you to just feel like, oh, that's not for me, or I cannot do that, or, oh, what she's saying sounds complicated. No. We're doing this because we generally want your health to be better. So approach it as an archaeologist, and it's your body. It's an investment in you. So feel free to take anything that we give you here, which is just basically crumbs, and go and do more research on it, because it is your body, and every time you invest in your body is so worth it. I hope that we have an amazing time today, and I'm so thankful to be here.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very sure so many people will be interested in how can I gain weight? Do people ask for that?
People ask for that, but people ask more for how can I lose weight, obviously.
Thank you very much. Thank
While
you.
eating everything in the world.
Yeah. All right. So, and to the last person, happens to be the only man on this panel, apart from me. So, his name is Dr. Tolu Taiwo. And there's something very unique about his experience. You know, that was what we discussed the other time. You know, how does it feel being a doctor and you're flying in the air? That is fantastic. So let me quickly touch his profile. Dr. Tolu Taiwo is one of Nigeria's leading experts and trainers on stress management and healthy living. He's a medical doctor who has practiced for about 15 years and a flight physician involved in emergency medicine and air ambulance services locally and internationally. He's a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, a leadership coach and facilitator, and member of the faculties of Success Power, Fifth Gear Plus, the Speaker Academy, Daystar Academy, among others. So, you know, there's so much about him. He's worked with a lot of organizations, but let me just read this. Dr. Taiwo is passionate about nation building and often gets involved with people, projects, and programs that empower people and positively impact the society. Dr. Tolu coordinates the health ministry of Daystar Christian Center. He has coordinated over 200 medical outreaches in which more than 50,000 people have benefited from free medical management and medications in Lagos and beyond. Man, this is over the board for me. More than 50,000 people. Let's just celebrate him, please. And please, your virtual hand too. Just celebrate this man. Wonderful. Dr. Taiwo, over to you.
Thank you very much, and I'm excited to be here. This is Daystar, and this is always home for me. You know, I'm very, very glad to be here, and I've gained a lot from being in Daystar over the years, and of course, I appreciate Reverend Sam, Pastor Nike, all the pastors, and everybody in Daystar. My healthcare unit members, they are just the best. So, actually, let me say this. Two of our people here are part of the healthcare unit in Daystar.
Wonderful.
Yonda, Dr. Grace. So, you know, it's been a joy working with them. Having said that, I realized that in medical school, more of our training has to do with, it's more reactive when it comes to healthcare. We are taught to focus more on diseases, you know, on getting people well after they are falling ill. So I thought, you know, I started thinking in a different way that how can people be proactive? How can they live healthy and not wait to fall sick? So that is why I focus on things like stress management, on healthy living, on making sure that you try not to even fall ill in the first place. You know, so I do a lot of those things myself. I practice them. I can say that in maybe about 11, 12 years, I've not treated a sickness or disease. You know, maybe occasionally some pain relief, but to say, oh, I had to treat malaria, use antibiotics, you know. So people can live healthy and you don't wait to fall sick. That's one thing I focus on. Another thing also is helping to preserve lives. You know, the emergency services like the ambulance services, you know, land ambulance, air ambulance. Sometimes people are at that point where they are critically ill and you just have to intervene. Sadly, our healthcare infrastructure in Nigeria is not much to write home about presently, but we can do more. So we do that to intervene and help to save people's lives here and there. Then the aspect of training, I believe a lot in teaching people what to do. So I'm involved in training groups, organizations, communities, you know, helping people to know what to do to live healthy. And then, of course, giving back, helping that healthcare system. So from time to time, we collaborate with people. Daystar is very strong on that too. We do a lot of medical outreaches, even in Daystar, to communities all over Lagos and sometimes beyond. So we do that in Daystar. I do that also with other people to collaborate and ensure that people still get some healthcare, free healthcare most times, to help them, you know, supplement whatever the government is giving them. So that's just a nutshell of, you know, what I do.
Thank you so much, Dr. And, you know, it's very vital to know that you kept arming on the fact that, you know, people need to live right. I mean, being in a good state of health. And from the start of this month, we've been talking about how to live right, how to live well, and how to be in good health. I mean, we all know that it is the will of God for us all to live well and be in sound mind, But, I just want to go straight to the definition of healthy living from WHO, which says, it defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So with this, I mean, it's important for us to, start from Dr. Tayo. Starting from Meghan Markle, Simone Biles during the Olympics, Naomi Osaka of Japan, and of course, KV in Nigeria, in one of the reality shows in Nigeria, issues of mental health has become prominent in our world now. And fair enough, a lot of people are coming up with a lot of support for mental health patients. I mean, how far is far? What can we do to help these people? And if you're very conversant also, there's a popular journalist by the name Piers Morgan who came on the attack when he came for Meghan Markle and Simone Biles. Now, how far is far with mental health? What can we do to avoid mental health? Or let me start by saying, how do we start to notice mental health issues? And what are the steps to take when you found yourself in it?
Unfortunately, for our environment, we find that not many people are mentally aware. And that is the first step. When people are not mentally aware, then when they begin to lose their mental wellness, they are not even aware that it's going. So they get into fights, they get into arguments, they start popping all kinds of drugs into their mouths, and they don't think, maybe I'm losing my mental health. So the first thing we probably may need to concentrate on in the environment is making people mentally aware. What do I mean by mentally aware? If a child came up to the mom and said, Mommy, it's like some people are following me around and talking about me. And when I look back, they disappear. You probably will tell the child, go and sit down. And the child comes again and says, Mommy, many people are, saying derogatory things about me. And when I get to their table, they stop talking. You probably will say, stop making trouble. Go and focus on your education. But this could be a child having hallucinations, having hallucinatory experiences. So we meet people, young people, even adults who have had hallucinatory experiences for several months. And therefore, their mental health has deteriorated over the months, and nobody did anything about it. Meanwhile, this is a situation that if they had come into the hospital, in 2 weeks, they would have, recovered their mental health and moved on. But because they did not know, they probably will get to the point where they are now stripping naked on the street before somebody says, now something is really wrong. But it started somewhere. So the community is not mentally aware. If a CEO who could integrate information, plan programs, do so many things, suddenly began to find that he can't think, his thinking is slowing, he can't put together information, he's not sleeping, he will never think of going into the hospital. He will think, I'm stressed, or, I just need to, pick it up and be more serious. But his mental health is declining, and he needs to get help. So when people don't know when to get help, things will go from just, mild and all that and become very severe. And then everything deteriorates. So mental awareness is something that we need to really give the community. I always propound that. Let's shift this generation altogether, because the problem is huge. And whether we face it or not, it's going to continue to be there. People lose mental wellness when they begin to do certain things like taking drugs and all that. But people also lose their mental wellness just by illness, just, by some unfortunate, circumstance that they are just ill and they can't do anything about it. Let's take mental awareness to the teachers, the people who propagate knowledge in the environment. Because people think the only people that will do it will have to be the psychiatrists, the specialists, and all that. No. Mental awareness can be done by people who can teach. If all the teachers from their teacher training schools have a course that is mental health awareness or mental health or something, even if it's an elective, they have become mentally aware. And so every generation of child passing through school becomes mentally aware, and we can totally shift this equation in the country.
Well, that's profound. I would have loved to talk about something that you mentioned while you started about drug use and all the whatnot. There is a statistics that I stumbled on that in every 5 person presently, one person has abused drug in the past 1 year.
Yes.
And is suffering from the consumption of
disorder,
drugs.
yeah.
Now, so if I will, can you just say something about how mental wellness is connected to what you do and, your experience also? Have you seen anyone in mental who requires mental wellness support and you've addressed their situation?
Okay, for us, because we focus more on wellness, okay, so we try to look at the mechanism by which that psychopathy developed, okay? So we want to look at what is causing you to be schizophrenic. Okay, so we try to do a scan and look at blood flow to the brain. We want to see whether there's atherosclerosis in the brain or whether blood flow to any part of the brain is impeded. So while you meet the people, you meet her, you need also to analyze what is going on with your blood flow. If you have memory index fading, if you have sentiment index reduced, if you have brain health problem, if you have problem with cognition, if you're stressed, if you have schizophrenia. Like the last week or so, I had a client who had done substance abuse, and when we scanned him, we saw that he had schizophrenia. So apparently, when I looked further, I found out that he also had impeded blood flow to the brain. So in that situation, you're trying to put him on a proper diet to ensure that his arteries that are already clogged, because for the cerebral arteries to be clogged definitely means that the arterial network from top to bottom is clogged.
Absolutely.
So there is fat deposits there. There'll be fat in the feet. He will have claudication. He will not be able to move very well. He'll have it in his arms and all that. So while you're talking to rehab, then you also need to check about the wellness pathology that is leading to that. So that's where we come in. It's always interwoven.
Connected.
There's no field that works alone.
Okay, so interestingly, we've been having some questions here, and I would like to jump into it. There is one for you, Kochi, and it's talking about for pregnant women, what kind of diet or exercise do you recommend? I'm sure you've seen a lot of, you've worked with a lot of married women who need your support at this point. What do you advise?
Okay. It's actually very interesting that we have pregnant women who are asking what kind of workouts to do, because sometimes we think that once you get pregnant, don't even do anything. Once your pen falls on the floor, someone has to pick it for you. But that's not true. You're actually supposed to stay active through pregnancy. So to keep it very simple, because I'm sure you don't want anything too complicated, walking is great in pregnancy. It's great everywhere, but it's great in pregnancy. So you can walk, even if you have to waddle with your bump, just keep walking, keep it brisk. If you can hold a dumbbell, walk. I remember when I was pregnant, I walked all through. I kept walking. And then as you're passing, we're in Nigeria now, people will be telling you, take it easy, but still do it, walk. Then even if you're going to do maybe more strenuous workouts, especially if you are used to working out already, then there's something called the talk test, meaning that you should be able to carry on a conversation coherently even while you're working out. So if you get to a point where you're gasping for breath, it means that you're doing too much. So make sure that whatever you do, on YouTube, there are tons of videos for free. Whatever thing you do, make sure that you can still carry out a conversation. Make sure that you work out in an airy place as much as possible, good ventilation. Make sure that you're not wearing anything that is too fitting, things that are loose clothing, and of course, keep drinking water. When you're tired, please stop.
Okay,
it's
thank
not
you
a competition.
Thank you very much. Dr. Tulu. And you can also chime in if you have any contribution to this, because there are a lot of questions coming from you, trust me. Dr. Tulu, this is coming from Deborah Oluwatoyin Ayanfe-Olua, and she says, if someone was placed on medications that make the person easily feel tired in the body on little exertion and feels very tired on walks for exercise, what would you advise?
if the medication is making the person tired.
Feel tired, yes.
Well, I think the first thing is stop that medication. Then I would like to know how you got that medication. Was it prescribed by a doctor? So if so, go back to the doctor. And if it wasn't prescribed, because you don't just go and get a drug, or you just go to a pharmacy and say, oh, give me this drug, or the pharmacy should dispense drugs based on a condition being managed. So you should actually go to the doctor and then have yourself assessed. And then the doctor tells you, okay, do this and do that. So the thing is, the first thing, you're not feeling okay with that drug, stop the drug. Then go and see a doctor, and then let them assess you and tell you what to do next.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other person who wants to contribute to that? Okay, so the next question, anybody can actually jump on this. Says, it's coming from Ichoma, and says, my question is, I learned that anything going into our body as food should be medical in size as not to cause problem to us. Please, how true is this? Okay, the question again. I learned that anything that is going out into our body as food should be medical in size. Medical in size. Or medicinal in size. Sorry. Yeah, medicinal in size.
Okay, let me say something. I think maybe what she's trying to refer to is, people have said things like, your food is your medicine.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think Yonda can testify to that, and even Coach E, that what you eat can either be good for your body or bad for your body. So if you know how to eat right, your food can actually be your medicine. It gives you the energy you need. It also helps to, it gives you nutrition and can help to build your immune system. I'll give you an example. Vitamin C that we see is so common, right? But it's a powerful antioxidant. And it can go as far as helping to prevent things like cancer, because it helps to mop up what we call free radical cells in the body.
Okay.
So there are a lot of fruits, for instance, that contain vitamin C. So when you eat the right fruits in the right proportions, that vitamin C can work for you and help you to prevent some of those things. So your food can be, but you need to actually sit down. It's not something we can talk about in 5 minutes. So you might need to see someone, that is a specialist in that area, and go for maybe a session or two and get the information
Dr. Tai
you need.
would like to say something about that.
Yes, let me approach it from the angle of mental health,
Okay.
and the habits that we find that people have gotten into now, which is the use of anything in the environment that they think relieves their mood or their, how they feel. And so we have so many people who are using some kind of concoction, maybe in alcohol, ogun jedi, ogun bar, all kinds of things. People have this kind of, they don't know what is in those concoctions. They are just things, mixed together somehow from, and they use it a lot. And we find that a lot of these medications, not only they can destroy the kidneys, they can destroy the liver, they can actually even destroy the brain. And so what goes into the body is very important.
Absolutely.
Let me take even preservation of food, because now we have people using sniper to preserve egusi, to preserve beans and all that. And people can get a lot of chemical toxin going into that, and a lot of problems with their brain function.
You want to say something?
Even death.
Okay. Death. Oh.
Even death.
Okay, so I just want us to lay this nutrition argument to rest once and for all. Okay, so when you take a sample of your body, maybe you just cut out a part of it, and you go to the lab, and you do what we call a biological assay. You break it down. It's found out that everything in your body, your calcium, phosphorus, silicon, everything, were all found in the soil. They are all things found in the soil. So inevitably, whatever you're going to put in your mouth must nourish those things in your body. So if you're taking anything in, it has to be something that has calcium, magnesium, and all that. So that's where the slogan, let your food be your medicine, comes in. But you know what we have today? We have messed up and altered nutrition. You see, food is no longer just food. food now comes with a lot of things. I'll just give 2 examples. One is, I always give this example, and people are like, she's going there. But the truth is, your carbonated drinks, for example, comes with a lot of things. It is, number one, if you take time to read the bottle of your favorite carbonated drink, comes with a lot of things. I can bet that 90% of us who are listening have never read what is on it. So, but one of the things on it is phosphoric acid. Another thing there is CO2. That's carbon dioxide. Now, God in his wisdom, when he made us, said we should exhale CO2, not take it in. And so we, in our classic wisdom, we have started taking it in.
Wow.
So now when you take that drink, you have that fizzy feeling, and you are like, oh, it's come to my head. Yeah, it's doing a lot of damage. And then there's caffeine in it, which will, first of all, constrict your blood vessels, raise your blood pressure, and then dilate it, and just put your entire body under a lot of stress. Then there's phosphoric acid. In the first place, you don't need acid. My objective is to give you a paradigm shift on nutrition. So we don't argue back and forth when they say, don't do this, and you're like, so why should I not do that? Because you're having phosphoric acid.
Absolutely.
Your body pH in the first place is 7.8. Your bloodstream is 7.8. So you take those drinks, pH of 3, okay, very acidic, close to your battery acid, which is about 1 or 2. You take it in, rush it into your bloodstream, your blood pH just skyrockets down, of course. And then the body's like, oh, this guy wants to kill himself. So he says, oh, let's go to the calcium bank. Let's pull out calcium from his bones. And then the body, you know, when we're in science class, it goes, there's a saying that calcium eats acid, right? So, okay, so God knew that we're all going to mess up with our bodies. So he said, all right, so these guys are going to break and mess around with things. So let me put a calcium bank from top to bottom. So your body quickly, after you've taken that lovely drink, goes into the calcium bank, pulls out calcium and dumps it in blood. We're not going to let him die. Okay, so that happens and your pH comes back to normal. You're no longer as badly, in quotes, acidic. And so you begin to see that the body is pulling calcium from all the weak points, your ankle, your back, your knee. And so 90% of the population is arthritic. So how does food connect to it? I could go on and on. Then your packaged foods, your canned foods, your processed food, all come with all the linings inside the can. There are people here who can do a meal without some brands.
So thank you for that. It's so instructive anyway. And coincidentally, we have a question here from Oluwole. It says, my mom has been addicted to carbonated drinks for 20 years and counting now. What steps can be recommended to help her get over it? She takes 2 plastic bottles at times a day, sometimes a day. And when she doesn't get agitated, and when she doesn't, she gets agitated. Please, I need suggestions and help. Who can help us with this, doctor? Anyone, please?
Okay, let me say one of the things that I usually talk about when I train people on stress management is how to handle caffeine. Now, caffeine can be addictive, you know, and like Yonda has said, these are some of the things that can make your heart to race faster, and eventually your blood pressure can increase. And if you sustain those kind of things, you can develop high blood pressure over time. So when it comes to caffeine, one of the things you need to do is you have to either stop taking or, well, reduce it drastically. You know, because I know some people will always still want to take some coffee and all that, but now, one of the ways to do that is to deal with the addiction. It's not in our own case now, it's not about the drink. She has developed a behavior with it. So we have to deal with that. And one way that I've learned to deal with addiction is there's something called like a 21-day rule. So whatever you're addicted to, for 21 days, you have to stop taking that thing. Now, how do you do that? Every day you start reducing it. She says she takes how many per day? 2 per day. So, okay, she takes 2. The next day she reduces to 1. The next day she takes 0. Now she has to discipline herself not to take it for at least 3 weeks. She must do everything she can, you know, because it's a habit. You can break most habits in 21 days. So she can do that for 21 days. Then she's likely to have dealt with it. Of course, she has to keep trying not to go back to it. But with that, there are some things that are going in the brain, synapses and all that, you need to deal with. I think Dr. Grace knows a lot about that too, so I'm sure she'll say one or two things about that.
While saying something about that, I would like to know what kind of external support can be gotten for this person also.
So, I have some news. 10%, scientifically it's been shown that 10% of the population have the genes for addiction. That means that their body can connect with certain substances in such a way that the body is not able to do without it after some time. People who become dependent on certain substances, especially things like caffeine or things that have what we call psychoactive properties, if they never were exposed to that substance, they never would know that they had that property for addiction. So for those who have developed dependence on certain things, like caffeine, and all that, I absolutely agree with what Dr. Tolu said. They need some time for separation from that substance. And they may not be able to deal with it alone at home. They might need to be within a controlled environment where they will not be able to gain access to that substance. So they may actually need to go in for treatment so that they can really help them to stay away from it, especially if there are substances that are now beginning to take a toll on their body.
Thank you very much. Now, this one is so interesting, and it's for ladies, and it's coming from Adidayo. And she says, for a while now, my period has been weird. I flow for the first 2 days, then it pauses for a day or two, and then flows for another day. I also notice some clotted blood. I'm 40 years of age with 4 children. What kind of help do you think she needs?
Okay. Basically, that's not really hard. I'll quickly give this background. I used to work in an IVF clinic, an IVF center, fertility center. And you see all the women come in and present like, okay, this is the issue. And you know what? It's like when you're wearing glasses, and then you take the glasses from your eyes and put them on your head, and then you're searching everywhere but your head. So that's the issue with women. When you present with anything that has to do with your period being altered or anything, that's a trigger that you have a hormone imbalance. Your hormones are not balanced. So the first thing you should do, and that's why I said at the clinic, they come in with what we call unexplained infertility. And I wonder, really? It's really something like unexplained infertility. The truth is that you come in, you check your hormones, you would find out that one is too high or one is too low. And because hormones work by what we call biofeedback, when one is up, it shuts down another and triggers the production of another. And when that one is up, it shuts down, triggers another one. And so that cycle goes on. So when one has an issue, maybe you have an estrogen imbalance because you have taken too much soy milk and all that are called xenoestrogens. Those are things that look like estrogen. So the body says, oh, this is also estrogen, and then the load is so high. So when you have that kind of estrogen imbalance and something happens, then you know that that cycle of hormone is already scattered. So the first thing you need to do with that prognosis is to go and check for your hormone profile. You go to your doctor, he writes out the test for you, and then you go and run the test. And then when you find out which one is imbalanced, then you take proactive steps to ensure that you restore the balance. There are a host of things you can do.
Yeah, thank you so much. Kochi, I have a question for you. And if you want to chime in on what you just said also, you can go ahead and do that. It's coming from Anonymous, and the person says, what kind of food should be avoided or minimized in order to lose weight? And how do you maintain your new weight?
That's like a whole topic for, sometimes when we ask questions, you're just asking like something that we should take a week or more to discuss. But I want to piggyback on something that she said about hormonal imbalance and all. One thing that we're all really going to have to do is start to really pay mind to what we put in our mouth. So I love the question, the person that said, I don't know how she put it, but something about food being medicine. So if you need a rule of thumb, and I love it, I try to use it myself within my home. Eat food as close as possible to how it was created. So every time you eat something, you want to look how far away from the original creation is it. So she talked about canned foods. Look at the canned food and look at how it started. Once it has gone through so many things, it doesn't look like the original thing anymore. That's a rule of thumb. Every time that I listened to Dr. Chris last week, and it was so brilliant. Every time that we try to go against what God has made, we fall into trouble. All the hormonal imbalances, it's really your diet. Because I have the privilege of coaching women, we have seen so many victories and testimonies. You just clean up your diets. And like she said, you're looking for your glasses, and I can relate so well because once I'm not wearing my glasses, it's crazy. You're looking for your glasses everywhere but where it's supposed to be. So you're doing all kinds of things. People are investing lots of money into trying to get pregnant or balance their hormones, so to speak. But you just come and you clean up the diet by basically giving you food. So whether you want to lose weight or eat health, I even feel like coming at it from a weight loss angle is not you're not fixing what is wrong. Just fix your diet. Eat healthy. Food close to how it was created. Food from the ground, your natural foods. Don't always... Now, I know that it's going to take some time for some people because doctor said it too, that it's going to take some time. For some of us, we've been schooled in the wrong diet for so long. So be easy on yourself. Just practice what we call mindful eating. Let your mind be present every time you want to eat. And ask yourself, how far from what God created is what I'm about to eat now? When you keep practicing that, you will not just lose weight, but you will lead a healthy life.
Thank you very much. Fantastic contribution there. All right, this is coming from YouTube and from Anonymous. What is the best way to get your blood sugar back up after a period of 30 days plus fasting? Now, that is fasting for 30 days. How can you get it back up,
Okay, so I'll happily take that. So I hear a lot of things like, oh, my blood sugar is so low, so I need to take one drink. And I'm like, there are a million options. Okay, so your blood sugar, see, you've been fasting. There's no need to go an extra mile to get your blood sugar up. You want to get your blood sugar up, just do pineapples. The glycemic index of pineapples, rocket high. Do your oranges, do anything close to nature. You have no business with the other side. You know the other side. You have no business there. So you want to get your blood sugar up. In short, if you really want to get your blood sugar up so bad, just take Gary. Your blood sugar will be in the roof instantly.
But how healthy is Gary itself?
Okay, so Gary is good. Why? Because it comes with fiber. So yes, and probiotics, that's true. It comes with fiber and the probiotics. Now, the fiber in the Gary, you see that shaft? It's attached to sugars. They call them polysaccharides, okay? So those sugars are still attached to the fibers. So your body takes in the fiber, breaks the fiber down, and then takes the sugar. Breaks it down and takes the sugar. Breaks it down and takes the sugar. So you don't have a spike. But if you take glucose directly, maybe you take it as glucose D, or you take it in our favorite drinks, it's already metabolized glucose. So it goes straight into your bloodstream, causes a spike, and then your pancreas is like, oh, goodness, there's sugar. Let's produce insulin. Let's help mop this up. But if you take it with Gary, with fibers, with your bananas, with things that come, the sugars are attached. The body does that gradual breakdown and doesn't have a shock.
Thank you so much. This is coming from Instagram, and it's coming from Amarachi. I've been having stomach pain for about 3 years now. I've done CT scan, abdominal and pelvic scan, yet the scan shows that I'm okay. What can be done? Doctor?
Okay, well, when you talk about abdominal pain, chest pain, and things like that, it's difficult to make a diagnosis without seeing the patient and examining the patient. So I can't just sit down here and say, oh, do this, do that. Now, she has done various tests. So I assume she has seen a doctor. Maybe she will need to go for a second opinion. If you feel this doctor, is not working, then maybe you try another doctor, because those are things that you can't just sit down and start trying to make a diagnosis. I have to see you, I have to examine and things like that.
Thank you. You want to say
Yes,
something? Now, before you say something on that, I see elements of drug abuse in this. The possibility that somebody would just think, okay, I've been feeling this, let me just self-medicate. Yeah, self-medicate.
Okay, so for the person who has done series of tests and the abdominal pain continues, I just want you to know that it's possible for you to be totally physically, similarly okay, but psychically for you to have other issues. So things like anxiety disorder could come with abdominal pain, abdominal roiling, abdominal upset, sweating, going to urinate many times, and you will never find anything on any investigation done. So you may need to actually maybe take a test. There are psychological assessments that can be done to help you know whether this is an anxiety state. Because you might be trained out of that anxiety state, or if you need medications to come out of it, then you can be helped.
Okay, thank you.
But please do not self-medicate.
Good. Thank you very much for that conclusion. So I'll take these two questions. I'll take the first one. I'll like somebody to start thinking about it while I take the second one also. This is coming from Olumeshe, and it says, please, what could be the cause of forgetfulness? It's coming from Facebook. And the second one is coming from Momotosha. What's your take on coffee consumption? How much of it is safe? Coffee consumption, how much of it is safe? No, so the first one or the second one? Anyone, please?
Okay, so the first one is?
The first one is, what could be the cause of forgetfulness?
Okay, so forgetting things. There are so many causes of forgetfulness. It could just be that you did not pay attention at the first time when things were said. Or it could be that if it's something that is repetitive or that is particularly troublesome, it could be that the person it could be a first sign of depression, that the person is actually becoming mentally unwell. And it could be that, you are taking certain things that might impair memory. So you might really need to look out for what could this be. But you should not stay with it if you're losing memory. Please go to a mental health facility and ask questions or seek treatment.
All right, thank you. On coffee, there's another question connected to it, and it's coming from Margaret. And it says, please, how healthy is coffee drinking every morning? So we have coffee from one person and another person, supporting it.
Coffee is common in use. Coffee is taken by so many people all over the world. Coffee is a psychoactive substance. Psychoactive means that it has effect on your brain and it can change chemical functioning in the brain. And the reason why a lot of people like it is because it makes you kind of alert, it wakes you up. And how it does that is by mopping up certain chemicals in the brain and, helping it to produce others. So yes, it has effect in the brain. How safe is it? It's also an addictive substance. You can become dependent on it over time. So it is not, let me give you another news. It is not every legal substance that is safe. Alcohol is legal, but it is not safe. Coffee is legal, but it is not safe. Cigarette is legal, but it is not safe. So we have to really be mindful, like she said, what we take into our bodies.
Okay, let me say, well, coffee, the active ingredient we're worried about is the caffeine. And we've talked about caffeine quite a lot today. So generally, I think we will advise to avoid it. But then coffee, I've learned, too, has some health benefits. So at most, maybe you take a cup of coffee in a day. That's what I will advise if you have to. Maybe then if you do that, it's better in the morning because you see what the caffeine does, it makes you alert. So if you take it at night or closer to when you sleep, it's going to disturb your sleep and alter your sleep. And sleep itself, that's a whole topic entirely. And you want to make sure you always get enough sleep every day. It's also part of your healthy living and helping to prevent you falling ill and all that. So that's what I would
Thank you very much. Now we're losing time so fast, and I would like us to also know that some of these questions that we cannot complete here, between now and next Wednesday, you get answers to them. So just stay with us on our social media platforms, and we'll get you some of those answers right for you. You just talked about sleep, and somebody's asking a question about sleeplessness, and it's coming from Olumese. Please, when someone can't think straight or lack concentration, is it the result of sleeplessness or something more dangerous that needs urgent medical attention? Just in 15 seconds, please.
Okay, yes. There may be other issues, but let me talk about the sleep part. One of the things we advocate that people, adults, you should get 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night for your body to rest well and recover. See, one thing that happens while you sleep, one of the things is that is when your memory is restored. So you've gone through the day, you've been stressed. It's when you sleep and rest that memory gets restored back to where it is. So when you don't sleep, say for like 2-3 days, you don't get enough sleep, you can start forgetting things. And if you sustain that over weeks and months, it begins to affect your cognitive ability.
All right, thank you very much. I'll drop these 2 questions quickly. From Tega, it says, where can I check for my mental wellness in Nigeria? That will come to you, Ma. The second one, I'm 15 years. This is anonymous. Said, I'm 15 years old and I still bedwet. Please, what can I do to stop it? Anyone, you can help us spot, Ma. Let's go on.
Bedwetting. So, it could be that, many of us never trained our children to stop bedwetting. We just found out that they were no longer bedwetting. But for those that persist, it may be because their level of sensory stimulation ab initio was so high. How do you wake up your child when they're very young to go to the toilet? Many people kick their children, give a beating or something like that. Ideally, you should call. So that level of sensory stimulation is what wakes the child up to go and urinate. If what you have done has been the hard touch for them to get up when their bladder is full, then they will, when the bladder is full and they don't have that hard touch, they are not able to get up to go and urinate. So in terms of training, was the toilet training, good ab initio? But now that the child is 15 years old and is still bedwetting, they may need to be trained. And this time you have to do it with maybe alarm bells that wakes them up periodically at night to go and urinate. It's only in extreme cases that someone may need medication to stop bedwetting.
Thank you very much, Ma. This is coming to you, Kochi. And it says, how does mental wellness play into psychopathy, dissociative identity disorder, and like disorders?
That's a question for the mental health.
Okay, so before I come with you to you with that question, with another question, let me just give you another one. And it's talking about what can you do when you have heart palpitation? What kind of exercise can you do when you continually have heart palpitation?
I don't think you should be thinking of exercises to do, because the exercising is even going to increase your heart rate. So you shouldn't be thinking of that. When you have any kind of cardiovascular issue, but most likely there's a blockage in your artery. And then, so let's look at it this way. It's like a pipe. The systems in your body, you have like a pipe. And the more you keep eating unhealthily, you keep clogging that pipe. And we need water to keep going through that pipe. So the more you eat, the more you clog the pipe. So you might not even have anything wrong with you. You might think, I'm eating all of this. So you have people who are slim and who don't think there's a problem because nothing is wrong with them and they're even slim. But that pipe is getting blocked. And then one day we just realize, that's why you have people who just die and you can't even explain it. So you want to check your diet. And you need a professional to help you. That's why you have professionals. Sometimes we think that, this thing is expensive, I can do it on my own. Google is amazing, but there's a limit to what Google can do. So when you have heart palpitations, you want to check your diet. You want to check with a doctor to give you a proper diagnosis so that you're not just checking only Google and then you're giving yourself the wrong diagnosis and you're not getting treated.
Okay, sorry, can I add to what she said? When you have the palpitations, yes, see your doctor and then let them assess you, put you on medications. But you see, you will still eventually need some exercises because the heart is a muscle on its own, and the exercise helps the heart to function better, to pump blood better. So go for the medications, and then there are things you could do. I think yoga helps to relax the mind, and then maybe aerobics as well. But see the doctor first, because the doctor will now advise you how you can pace yourself. Walking is good exercise, actually. So for most conditions, you can also walk. Even with the palpitations, you can do walking, it helps.
Thank you very much. Ma, concerning the mental
dissociative
state. But you know, you need to add, somebody asked the question earlier about where can you go when you're having them?
So for the person who has a dissociative state, you need to go to the mental health facility first. Visit a psychiatric hospital or visit, a mental health facility. And we have all over the country.
Can you mention
in Lagos, we have Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba. We have a unit in Lasuth. We have with Luth, Lagos University Teaching Hospital. So we do have mental health facilities that you can go to. Dissociative states is a very serious mental health illness, and you need to go to the hospital to be treated. Please do it urgently before you harm yourself or you harm others.
Thank you very much. Now, this is triple barrel question, okay? And they say, how can you help someone that has the issue of hallucination? That's one. Two, what could be the cause of high blood pressure that fluctuates in a lady, and what can be done? Now, let me say in both women and men. And number three, what is the cause of loss of sleep apart from stress? Now, that question should go to you, Kochi, the third question.
The second question, more like, what's the second question?
Okay, what could be the cause of high blood pressure that fluctuates in a lady, and what can be done?
Again, high blood pressure. Again, there are I like what she said about various factors that cause sickness, and one of it is your diet. Sometimes you hear this whole diet thing and it feels like, how many things will we treat with food? But the truth is that food is really medicine. So now in Nigeria, or just generally, we're used to deep frying a lot of things. That's something that you're going to have to wean yourself off gradually. Not just you, but your entire family. Wean yourself off it. Now, there's also a lot of snacking, especially what we call Nigerian snacks. It's common. It's like a rite of passage. As we grow up, that's what we do. We can easily buy it anywhere. It's easily accessible. It's affordable. So you find yourself eating more and more and more of it. That's also something that can cause it. So it's, at the end of the day, it's your lifestyle, and your lifestyle has also to do with the food that you eat. So start to check. Like I said, eat foods closer to the way that it was made. Drink lots of water. Include exercising in your regular life. You don't have to be trying to lose weight. I think that's a common misconception, that I only work out when I'm trying to lose weight. No, we work out because you need to exercise this body. It's just normal. So that's basically what it is. Eat what, and
thank you. Do you want to say something?
For heart conditions, palpitations, and everything that has to do with heart health, I'll just put this in. If the electrical circuitry of the heart is messed up, then you're going to continuously have palpitations even when you're on your medications. So the best way to correct that circuit, it's a circuit, is electricity. That circuitry is already warped. So you can have what we call tachycardia, or you can have arrhythmias. That means very fast heart rate or very low heart rate. The only thing that can quickly correct it is electrotherapy. You go through pulsed electromagnetic frequency. It's practically a new field. It's about 100 or 150 years old. And so you run your heart through that electrical circuitry, and then that is what can correct that palpitation, and you have to run a series of it. And that's what I do.
Okay. Yeah, great. So the third question, which is very important also, loss of sleep. What could be the cause?
So in our environment, we know how the buildings are when we're sleeping at night. 8 generators are running around us, from different buildings. There's so much noise, there's no power supply, the heat, in the environment is so high. And so if the environment is not conducive for sleep, it's very likely that sleep will evade us. So one of the first things you should look at is your environment if you're not sleeping. Perhaps you're not sleeping because you're not comfortable. There's something we call sleep hygiene, and you can get it online. Just check it out, sleep hygiene, what you can do, to make yourself have comfortable sleep in the night. Now, you can't tell people to shut down their gens because you want to sleep, and you may not be able, to, tell NEPA to bring power back into your house and all that. But there may be other modalities that you may want to employ to make yourself sleep. Now people can use paddings for their ears, to make sure that there is no external noise coming into them when they want to sleep. They can have things that they put over their eyes to make sure that light is out and to reduce the amount of stimulation in the environment while they sleep.
Thank you very much. Quickly, we have this one coming from Peter and from YouTube. Why will a middle-aged man's hand shake when he holds anything, even as light as pouring from a bottle of water? Shaking.
That is serious illness. Please, you need to go to the hospital immediately and see the doctors. Many things can cause tremors. It could be hyperthyroid. It could be that, the thyroids are stimulating so much hormones, that is making the hands shake. And it could be Parkinson's. That's it's a genetic disease that comes up when people are adults, when people are in their 30s and 40s. So for this person, it could be a serious matter. Please go to the hospital and be diagnosed so that you can know, how well it's going to go.
Okay. Do you want to chime in on that, Doctor?
Well, she has said, I was going to mention Parkinson's as well, and it could be anything in the brain. There's what we call the cerebellum, which actually controls those fine movements. So those are things that you have to go to the hospital and get proper examination done.
All right. Thank you very much. This is coming from Anonymous. Says, what's the natural way to shrink fibroid and permanently? Kochi, do you want to say something about that? It feels like something you would like to talk about.
Okay, you want to shrink a fibroid. Okay, I've heard people talk about medications to shrink fibroids. Well, they do those things, and sometimes it shrinks, but eventually it grows back, and it can come back, and it's bigger. So if you're sure you have fibroids, the best person will be a gynecologist. Just go and see your gynecologist, and they'll tell you what to do. It's not in all cases that they will have to do surgery. If they feel it's not so big and it's not causing any issues, they can actually let it go. And there have been people who have been pregnant and had fibroids at the same time, and they delivered their baby. So go and see your gynecologist. That's the,
all right.
Yeah,
thank you so much. This one is coming about nutrition, and it's coming from Busola. Says, what nutritional advice do you have for people surviving cancer?
See, the first problem with cancer is that, number one, we always like to say that, we don't know where he came from and how it came up. But there are basically three things that cause it that will attenuate it, make it higher. Number one is if the body is highly acidic, so you get everything growing free flow. Number two, if you lack oxygen. Now, you'll be like, but I'm breathing, so how do I lack oxygen? If the cells are not getting oxygen, it's called hypoxia. If the tissues are not getting oxygen, it's called hypoxia. So I always say with our Nozemax generation, we have to look for a way of getting oxygen in very well. You understand? Because of hypoxia. So when someone has just survived cancer, the first thing he needs to do is to get off everything acidic. Anything that's going to increase your acid level, you must get it off. Anything that is going to make you not have enough oxygen, you must get it off. Then, like she said, you have to eat foods close to nature. So your best pals right now would be the green nutrition, green feeding, green juices, your spinach, kale, spirulina, all that drink. That's what you must do right in, because alkalinity kills cancer cells. Acidity makes it grow. It just attenuates it, makes it increase. And then I also, when we were preparing for this program, it's just been consistently in my mind to talk about kidney health. You see, quite a lot of people have kidney issues, and you walk into the hospital with someone quickly who has kidney issues, and you see all the carbonated drinks there, you see the bread, you see everything. Now, the problem with the kidney is, first of all, your kidney's work is to help you filter and filter your acidity.
Okay.
So you introduce more acids into it, and it's having problem filtering it in the first place. And then the acid you are introducing into it is allowing it to form uric acid stones, kidney stones. So your first solution, your first line of defense is to ensure that you get in alkaline drinks into your body. When you reduce and increase your bicarbonate count, okay, your bicarbonate levels in your kidney, then it's giving it less work and is removing that vicious cycle. So your first front line of defense is that you need to alkalize in a kidney condition. Not anything else, but first of all, alkalize.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'll permit you to take some breath. So we're wrapping up now, and want to say thank you to the pastors. We were given 15 minutes extra. So as we wrap up now, in just one sentence, I would like to start from Yuma. Just wrap up. Give us your final word.
Okay, so I want to say, for those who are very healthy, be aware of your mental health. And if you have anything that you think is stopping you from doing what you want to do or what you have usually done, please go in and get, tested and treated. If you are on drugs, substances, psychoactive substances, and these days, some substances are even medical. Okay, so things like the syrup that they take for cough, that, codeine syrup that a lot of people take for cough, people are abusing it and all that. If you know that you are abusing substances in the environment that are not prescribed, please stop it. If you are using substances or other things, share drugs and all that, introducing it into your body for one thing or the other, rather than do that, go to the hospital and get diagnosed.
Thank you.
You are safer that way.
Thank you.
Finally, I want to say that, the first commandment God gave man and woman, I don't know how we missed it, is that he gave them restriction on what to use, what to take. He said, thou shalt not take of that tree. Every other thing you can have. So God has a prescription for what you can or cannot eat. So when you come across people who say, I can drink alcohol, I can, use, cigarettes, I can take everything, and it's all okay. It's not all okay. Once it's not good for your body, please abstain from it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'll cross over to Kochi. Kochi, over to you. One sentence.
Okay.
As we wrap up.
Romans 12:2 in the Message version says that we should not be so accustomed into this world that we fit in without thinking. A lot of times, the Message version, a lot of times we just do things based on social conformity. That's the way that we saw other people do it. That's what we have seen. So I want to beg you to be mindful of what you do. Don't just fit in without thinking. Second, if you're a mother, God has literally given you these children, and you can create a whole new culture with them. So please practice mindful eating even with your children. You have so much power. Use it well as a mom.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Taiwo.
Yes, generally I focus on helping people live their best and most fulfilling lives. And you cannot do that without being healthy. They say health is wealth. That is a very, very powerful statement. Because when you're healthy, one, you actually save money. Two, you cannot be productive if you are not healthy. You can't work. You can't go and make money. So I ask people when I train, I say, what is your greatest asset on this earth? And I can tell you, it is your body. Without the body, you can't do anything. Even as a Christian, the only reason you are here is your body. If not, you'll be a spirit. Maybe you'll be in heaven.
That's true.
So this body is very, very valuable. Take absolute care of it.
All right, Yonda, over to you. Final word.
In the field of epigenetics, that's what I would like to round up with. Epigenetics talks about your genes. You carry predispositions. My dad was diabetic, so I'm going to be diabetic. No, the new field of epigenetics says that your genes carry the predisposition, but your environment load the gun. So what you introduce into your cellular environment will trigger that condition. So make the right decisions.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a fantastic moment with you guys. It's been wonderful. We can go on and on and on and talk about this. But, don't forget, if you're home, don't forget wherever you're watching us, you can still drop those questions. In the course of the week, you get answers to it. So make sure you keep a date with us on those social media platforms. Somebody will be there to answer the question. I want to say thank you to everyone who has been a part of this. I really, really, really love this session. I really learned a lot from it. I'm very sure that our people also learned a lot. Thank you very much. I want to say God loves you and he wants you to be in good health and in perfect health. That is your destiny and that is why you're created. Thank you very much.
Daystar, raising role models.